All right, so let's talk about macros. Macros are is going to be short for macronutrients, and there are three, kind of four. We'll get to the fourth one. Protein, carbs, fats. I say four because alcohol isn't any of these three, but it does count towards calories, unfortunately. So protein is going to have 4 calories per gram, and the two big things that you want protein for is to build and repair, not just muscle tissue, but also things like hair, nails. Protein is used for so many things in the body, it's actually really hard for the body to store it as fat. The second thing is going to be satiety, feeling full. It takes the body more to digest protein, so the more protein that you have in your diet, the more you're going to be able to feel full, be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, and prevent yourself from overeating. Next one's going to be carbs or carbohydrates. I know they get a bad rap, but there's so many uses for them, primarily for people who are athletes, training, working out. You're going to need carbs for energy. As soon as you have carbs, it gets turned into blood glucose in the bloodstream, and then it gets put into the cells as muscle glycogen. Carbs are literally the fuel that you use when you're exercising. So if you ever feel really drained or depleted when you're exercising, you're probably low on carbs. That's why you want to have carbs. The more carbs you have, the more effort you can put, the more you'll be able to lift, the harder you'll be able to go. Also, carbohydrates, blood glucose, it has a relationship with insulin and cortisol, where carbohydrates are going to help you manage stress. If you ever notice, anytime you're really stressed out, you crave things that actually are carbs, and that's because the relationship that carbs have with insulin, with blood glucose, is going to help bring cortisol levels down. And cortisol is the hormone that is really correlated with stress. Next, you're going to have fats. Fat's going to be really important for hormonal function and also for brain function. They're also going to be something that women want to typically have a little bit more of. And as you can see there, you might be able to see, protein is going to have 4 calories per gram, carbs are going to have 4 calories per gram, but fats, 9 calories per gram. Things with fats in them are going to be really calorie dense. So almonds, cheese, avocado, oils. You notice that calories get really high in numbers really quick with small amounts. So that can be a detriment, but it can also be beneficial if you need to gain weight and you're having a hard time. Adding fats to your diet can be really helpful. Now, talking about daily recommendations, what you want to be aiming for if you are giving yourself a macro prescription or a coach is giving you macro prescriptions, I typically like to be between 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per body weight. Now, it's going to depend on what your body weight is and first what your goal body weight is. Say someone's got 50 pounds to lose and they weigh 250 pounds. I'm not going to put them at 250 grams of protein. That's a ton. I also want to make sure that someone's not under eating protein, because if you're at maybe 30, 40 grams of protein a day and then I ask you to eat 150, it's just not going to happen. You're going to feel crazy sick. So we'll probably start you at 60, then 70, and 80 and build your way up. But you really want to make sure you're getting adequate protein, and a lot of studies show that 0.8, 1.2 grams of protein per lean muscle mass really is where you want to be at to not only retain muscle, but build muscle. You can't build muscle if you don't have the supplies needed, and proteins are those supplies. Then kind of come down to fats. Fats can have a lot of variance, again, from male to female, but also depending on how hard you're training. 30 to 40% of your calories coming from fats, with the remainder being carbs. Now, carbs might be a little bit higher if you're athlete that's training 6 times a week. If you're an endurance athlete, you're going to need more carbs, so that's going to pull the fats down 30%, maybe even lower, below 30%. This is typically just a general starting point. But these are your macros. Like I mentioned, alcohol doesn't fall underneath any of these, but it does count towards calories. So as much as you can, try and stay away from that. And that is your macros.